Roses are red, violets are blue. Syracuse defeating a ranked opponent? That's new. Well, it happened tonight. The Orange defeated 23rd ranked NC State 75-72 inside the Dome. And we're here to talk about it all on Orange Press Pass. Highlights, analysis, and reaction. It's all coming up. It's OPP, and it starts right now. Hello and welcome to Orange Press Pass with Philip Galati and Sam Reis. I'm Trey Redfield. Thanks so much for joining us. The Orange get it done for the first time over a ranked opponent in 2 seasons, taking down 23rd ranked NC State 75-72. And guys, it's not a quadrant 1 win, but you'll take a top 25 win any day of the week, right, Philip?
Well, I won't sugarcoat it, right? This is the first top 25 win for this team in 752 days. That's a crazy number. But on that same wavelength, it wasn't that convincing of a win. We went into the halftime break thinking, what is this team doing wrong? And really, NC State was missing a lot of shots in this one that they should have made, especially being ranked in the top 25. I think Syracuse got a little bit lucky. It's still a good win, but I'm not convinced come March.
Well, I'll tell you my first thoughts, Phil, and that's a good sign. No one had to be a superstar in this game for Syracuse, and I say that in a very positive way. As Trey said, the first win over a ranked team, and the fact of the matter is all 5 starters delivered today, all contributing quite a bit, and all scoring in double figures.
Ranging from Judah Mintz that had 20 all the way to Malik Brown that finished with 10 points. Let's find out how it all went down. The Cuse and the Pack going at it once again from inside the Dome, and this was a win that Syracuse desperately needed. Knowing what was going on right now, 98th in the net rankings, no top 25 win just yet, but early Joe Girard was the one to get it going. 2 minutes in, he drills a 3-pointer. Syracuse posts a 5-2 lead. But 2.5 minutes later, look to see who gets the offensive board here. DJ Burns, 6'9", 275 pounds, and probably a pair of biscuits away from being 300 pounds. It's a 5-5 tie thanks to that bucket from Burns. Then Benny Williams down low. The only bucket from the bench tonight makes it a 10-8 SU lead. And next thing you know, Philip, NC State was off and running with an 11-0 run.
I mean, this was a 5.5-minute run where Syracuse couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Plus, they had so many defensive turnovers that weren't helping, and credit to the Wolfpack, they took full advantage.
But either way, Syracuse was still in front thanks to this Chris Bell jam from Judah Mintz. Syracuse leads 35-31 going into the halftime break. Now we take it midway through the second. Look at this. Shot clock running down. Who's going to shoot the 3? It's Jesse Edwards, and it goes in somehow in some way. It ignites the Dome crowd, but this was the second half that went back and forth, Sam.
Absolutely. You see here NC State getting a bucket from deep, but it seemed like every time that happened, Syracuse had an answer.
Next thing you know, with NC State shooting just 9 of 34 from beyond the arc, this one just kept having ties left and right. I mean, this was a tie game for 8 minutes out of the entire 40, but who was going to step up? Judah Mintz from deep, top of the key 3 is good. Judah would finish with 20 points and 9 assists. Syracuse has the 73-72 lead. Then Burns drives in down low. He's called for the offensive foul. Jesse Edwards draws it, leads to one last try for the Wolfpack with 6 seconds left. Putbacks left and right. Malik Brown makes the smart move to bat it away. One last heave from Terquavion Smith, the leading scorer for the Pack. He can't get it. And the Orange take down NC State 75-72. The first time the Cuse grabs a top 25 win since back in January of 2021 when they defeated Virginia Tech. And guys, this was a matchup that featured a lot of top scorers for NC State, but it could have been a lot more, Sam, had the Wolfpack made their 3-pointers. I mean, you look into the stats from deep, NC State was 4 of 17 from beyond the arc in the first half.
That's right, Trey. I mean, it is true that Syracuse had yet another sluggish start to this game, but so did the Wolfpack, and that really invited Syracuse back into this game and gave them the ability to come back.
And we're going to talk about the Flying Dutchman a little bit later, but how about 16 boards for Jesse Edwards, his 11th double-double, and he carried the team off the glass offensively and defensively, and that was key to getting the momentum going in the second half.
You see the 16 boards, 10 of them came in the first half from the senior center. And now we're joined by our Citrus TV men's basketball beat reporter tonight, Lucas Vogel. He was covering the game for us at Citrus TV Sports on Twitter. And Lucas, let's take it to the sidelines post-game. While Jim Boeheim, the head coach for the Orange, and Wolfpack head coach Kevin Keatts were shaking hands, they were also exchanging some words with one another. From your vantage point, what did you see from the chinwag between Boeheim and Keatts?
Well, normally when you see a coach handshake at the end of the game, it's a quick 5-second max interaction between the two coaches, and they go their separate ways, celebrate the win, or talk about the loss. But between Coach Keatts and Coach Boeheim, maybe more of a 15-second interaction. They were talking, smiling at each other, which you might think, hey, that's a good thing. They're smiling, they're laughing. But when me and my sister argue, we do the same thing. So it could have been a farce. But at the end of the day, I was able to sit in on Coach Keatts' press conference at the very end, and he put it all to rest. He said there was no animosity between him and Boeheim. He said if we wanted to get the answers, had to go to Jim himself. And look, I'm not going to be the one to ask Jim Boeheim what he and Coach Keatts had to say after the end of the game. So I think it's going to be between them. But Coach Keatts put it to rest. No animosity, just a personal dispute. And I'm sure they're just talking about maybe a round of golf or something fun like that.
Looking good, Lucas. I want to talk about Judah Mintz. I mean, we say his name all the time, but 20 points tonight, it felt like there was something special in the air with him watching him play. What did you see from him today that really stood out on the court?
Yeah, Judah Mintz was completely on his game, and it really just comes down to the fact that he can be a playmaker and a scorer. Only had 4 points in that first half, but had 6 assists to his name, and you go to the second half, really got those points in that second half, and that's because of the playmaking. It just opens up his game so much. It gives him a jumper, it gives him a three-point shot. He's able to attack the basket a little bit more, and he's able to get his assist numbers up. A fantastic game for the freshman, 20 points, 9 assists, only the 1 turnover, and starting to think if Mintz can be really the X factor for this team, because if he plays like this in the remaining games and if he can open his game up to be a bit more three-dimensional like we saw today, really dangerous for a lot of these ACC schools with Syracuse marked on their schedule.
Hey, Lucas, of course I have to bring up that Jesse Edwards three-pointer. Can you just talk about what it was like seeing a rarity of a shot go in from the big man? And is it safe to say that at that stage of the game it maybe provided a spark for the rest of the game for the Orange?
Sam, that wasn't a three-pointer. That was an act of God right there. Jesse Edwards just doesn't take those shots. He doesn't make those shots. It's the first he's ever made in his career, but afterwards we had a chance to talk with him, and he says, yeah, I do make those shots in practice all the time. He said that he practices that shot, and every big man's dream. It's like a linebacker in the Super Bowl getting that touchdown. You want to drain the three. Right there, had the opportunity, but there's a big difference between friends in practice and doing it in the middle of the game against the number 23 team in the country, neck and neck. Jesse Edwards, he's that guy, able to drain that shot, and then you saw the smiles on their faces. The rest of the team just uplifting him, and the Flying Dutchman made sure that the rest of his team were flying, and it's just good spirits down the stretch. You need that comfortability, you need that looseness. The rest of the team just played it like it was a pickup game at Rutgers and felt so comfortable at the very end and was able to get the dub just because of that.
And it all led to a 75-72 win for the Orange over 23rd ranked NC State. That's Lucas Vogel, our men's basketball reporter tonight for Citrus TV Sports. Be sure to follow our socials at Citrus TV Sports to check out Lucas' post-game recap posted tomorrow. Lucas, thanks so much for joining us. And when we come back on Orange Press Pass, we're going to dive in to how it got done tonight for the Cuse. Was it the three-point shooting? Was it everyone just getting involved in the starting five? What worked and what didn't? That's on the other side. OPP on OTN.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass with Philip Galati and Sam Reis. I'm Trey Redfield. Syracuse taking down 23rd ranked NC State 75-72. And we've talked a little bit about how great Jesse Edwards was tonight, scoring a double-double with 18 points and 16 rebounds. But if you ask head coach Jim Boeheim, he would say it was a little bit different in his eyes.
Well, for a lot of the game, he struggled. And at the end there, he finished a couple. But he still gets bumped off balance a little bit. He's getting better at it and, making progress there.
Making progress. I mean, this is a guy that's been averaging a double-double all year. One of the few players to do it in the ACC. I mean, the last time I checked, 10 rebounds in the first half, 16 overall along with 18 points, and making a three-pointer. Last time I checked, Phil, that's pretty darn good.
I just don't know what else Coach Boeheim needs to see from this guy. Averaging a double-double, that's insane. I mean, let's put it this way. I think he's the best big guy in the ACC because on defense, if he's not getting the boards, who else is, right? We saw him dominate the glass today. That's the story when Syracuse gets the dub. He's always going up first. And then offensively, he started to cook in that second half. I mean, really ending the day with 18 points after just 5 from the charity stripe in the first. It's incredible, the performance he put up today. I don't know what else Coach Boeheim needs to see. He's incredible.
Yeah, I'm on board with both of you. I have to be honest. I don't understand why Boeheim found it reasonable to criticize the big man after the game. 16 rebounds is what I want to key in on because Edwards this season is just averaging around 10. You could argue that number should have been higher throughout the course of the season, but tonight he delivered in that department, a department that he struggled a bit in some games in, and Syracuse as a whole has struggled, so those rebounds came in huge.
I mean, Jesse finished with 16 boards like we talked about. The next player to have a higher number in the rebound category was Malik Brown with 6. I mean, so I think we can all agree here that Jesse deserves more credit, but something that needs to be fixed, guys, is the three-point shooting. It wasn't too pretty tonight for both sides. NC State 9 of 34 from deep, like what we talked about in the highlights, and then for Syracuse 5 of 15 from beyond the arc. And Sam, we mentioned it too. Look, if the Wolfpack find the way to hit some of those three-pointers, this is a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. This would have been a whole different story, quite frankly. And for a top 25 ranked team in NC State, you expect them to capitalize on a poor start from Syracuse, something they weren't able to do. So you could say the Orange were bailed out a little bit. It was another occasion of them just missing some open looks, Phil, some poor shot selections. I don't like to criticize Girard too much, but there were 1 or 2 of those classic Girard wild three-pointers that didn't go. So a bit of a frustrating outing from beyond the arc.
Frustrating for the Orange. And then on the NC State side, let's take it back to 4 minutes into the second half. The Wolfpack throw up not 1, not 2, but 3 air balls in a row. And they get all of them back, and then it ends with a layup, blown coverage. I mean, if NC State makes these threes, right, it's a win. But what is Syracuse doing to allow that many takes in the first place? This is going to be crucial when Duke comes to town on Saturday. If they want to make a run to the NCAA tournament, which at this point I think is a little bit of a stretch, but there's always hope for this team, right? Got to close it down sooner.
I think you said it best with the allowing the air balls to happen for Syracuse because those were offensive rebounds left and right during that stretch. I mean, midway through the second half, stuff like that just simply can't happen, especially if you're Syracuse. Coming into tonight, these two teams were shooting 36% from beyond the arc. And someone that wasn't shooting so great tonight, looking into NC State, was Terquavion Smith. Yeah, he finished with 14 points, 4 of 12 from deep. But going into the first half, Sam, Terquavion Smith only scored 2 points going into the halftime locker room. This is someone that is the second best scorer in the ACC, none other than behind Armando Bacot for UNC.
Yeah, this isn't your average player at all. You hit the nail on the head. This is a top player in a very good conference in the ACC. He's been putting up 20-plus point performances quite often. So for Syracuse to contain him that well throughout the first half was something I think you have to give the Orange credit for. Now, to Smith's credit, he did step up a little bit in that second half, but I thought that was a big key for Syracuse containing the star player for the Wolfpack, Phil.
You remember how he stepped up? Because I think it's the most bizarre basketball shot I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
He's in the corner, he throws it up, and hits off the top of the glass, and somehow falls. And then he gets another 11 points by the end of it. He's averaging 18 on the season, so not too shabby. And Coach Boeheim said he was happy to hold him to 4 and 12. Again, we're talking about what ifs with this game. What if NC State makes more threes? What if Terquavion Smith heats up? It's a completely different scoreline. But I think the Orange actually did a little bit of a better job closing him down as compared to the rest of the team today.
I mean, you look at the 14 points and you compare it to 18 per contest. It's somewhat consistent, but you got to dive in. That's exactly what we did. Just 2 points in the first set of 20 for NC State's leading a scorer and leading facilitator. But something that wasn't too great either, guys, was the bench play from Syracuse. 3 guys came off the bench today. Justin Taylor, and then Benny Williams. We saw it in the highlights. Benny Williams was the only player to put up a bucket tonight. Torrance and Taylor, goose eggs. And Sam, stuff like that just cannot happen. It's a good thing that the starting 5 all found double figures.
Yes, that is very true. The starters, of course, were huge for the Orange today. But I don't think you can throw too much criticism at the bench for Syracuse, because the fact of the matter is none of those 3 players that came off the bench had more than 6 minutes. So how can you criticize the bench when they barely played? That's the fact of the matter for me, and I'm not too concerned about it in this particular game because the bench didn't need to step up, Phil, considering the starters played very well today.
Now, well, my question is looking ahead. If you only have 5 players who are going to play 30-plus minutes against teams like Duke going into the ACC tournament, that's not a recipe for long-term success. All 3 of the guys you see on the screen right now have individual talents that bring something to this team. They need to be given the opportunity to play. Today, obviously, a lot of people were playing pretty well, and that's good. But looking down the line, if they're not going to have constant rotation in and out, the Orange are going to get tired, and they're going to get tired quickly.
Benny Williams, the only person to score tonight, only bucket against NC State, only bucket last time out, last Wednesday, against Florida State. But let's get away from the negatives and talk about the main positive from tonight. It's Jesse Edwards, and he is tonight's Orange Press Pass Player of the Game. 18 points, 16 rebounds, another double-double for Jesse, who's been on a heater as of late. Scored a double-double again at Florida State this past Wednesday, and then against Boston College, scored 27 points. You look back at the stats, that's a career high. Jesse Edwards is on a heater, whether Jim Boeheim likes it or not. He is my Orange Press Pass Player of the Game, and rightfully so, because Jesse is a dog down low. When we come back on Orange Press Pass, we get into the Valentine's Day spirit. Phil and Sam are going to start the Riz. We play an off-brand Tinder game on the other side. That's next on OPP.
OTN is on all your favorite apps: Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Search Orange Television Network or OTN. OTN has its best shows, short films, and CitrusTV on demand. Family and friends can watch OTN too. Watch the live stream of OTN to catch live CitrusTV news, live from Studio B, and Mornings on the Hill. On or off campus, watch OTN anywhere.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to a Valentine's Day edition of Orange Press Pass with 3 single men. That's Philip Galati, Sam Reis, and I'm Trey Redfield. We said it once, we'll say it again. We're single, but hey, positives. Syracuse just took down 23rd ranked NC State, 75-72. That's the first ranked win for the Orange in 2 years. We'll take that. That's cool and all. But it's time for us to play a game called Baller. It's just like Tinder, but we say ball and then we put the at the end. Here's how it goes, guys. I'm going to talk about 3 players on SU that played tonight in the win over NC State. And it's simple. If you like how they're playing, you're swiping right. If you didn't like how they played, and you don't like how they're playing right now, you're swiping left. That's pretty simple, right? You guys cool with that?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's get right into it. We start with Judah Mintz, who scored 20 points tonight, 1 assist away from a double-double. He had 9 on the evening. He was someone that was facilitating in the first half, but started to score in the second. Philip, are you swiping right or left on your first leg for Baller?
I'm swiping right. I mean, you said it best. He was a facilitator tonight. I swiped for the personality, and he is 3-dimensional. Lucas Vogel, our basketball reporter, said the same thing. He was the scorer for the large majority of this season so far. And then tonight, he really showed his ability to move the ball. 6 assists in the first half. Coach Boeheim was impressed with that, and rightly so. Not only can he score, he can help other teammates score. It's no longer a one-man show, and that's important for the Orange looking down the barrel of the rest of the schedule. I'm swiping right.
Hey, Phil, on this first one, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm swiping right as well on Judah Mintz. I think this performance showed a lot about how he's kind of developed over the course of the season. There was a decent amount of criticism early on saying that maybe he was trying to do too much himself, but the fact that he was able to embrace that role of being the facilitator in that first half and then, quite frankly, kind of flip the switch in the second half and start finding that mid-range game that he's so good at is very impressive to me. You said it, Trey, 1 assist away from a double-double. He really impressed me tonight in multiple different ways on the offensive end.
Those 20 points were a game high for Judah Mintz, and he's someone that's been dominating throughout the year, averaging 15 per contest and going 5 of 5 from the free throw line. We didn't mention this, and we're going to mention it right now because it's really important. 16 of 17 from the charity stripe was Syracuse tonight in the win over NC State. But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some forwards. Sam, we're going to start with you on this one. Chris Bell has been a guy who's been on and off this year. I mean, going into Florida State on Wednesday, he was averaging just 2 points per game in his last 3 contests. Scores double figures against Florida State, scores double figures tonight against NC State. He isn't getting much love on Baller recently, but are you going to give him some love tonight?
I'm giving Chris Bell some love. Give more love to a freshman. Come
swiping
on.
Right.
I'm swiping right here for Chris Bell. Absolutely. I mean, people might say I'm being a little too optimistic about Bell. The fact of the matter is, this is a player who was in a significant slump just recently. He had no points against Boston College and Virginia Tech. He had 10 points in the last outing against Florida State, 11 tonight. I think he's starting to get back into a little bit of a groove. Of course, he has those instances where he starts to fire from 3 and knock down those shots as we're seeing here. And so I like what I've been seeing from Bell. And the fact of the matter is, even if it's not anything crazy good from the freshman, who are you really realistically going to replace him with? We talked about how there's not much depth on this team with the bench, so that's an issue as well.
That's a good point. I'm going to ignore it. I'm swiping left on this one. Look, he was 1 for 5 today from behind the arc, and you say, oh, he's getting better. Okay, fine. Let's compare the last 5 games in total. He's 3 for 22. 3 for 22. Why are you taking 21 shots, only making 2 of them and going, you know what, I think I should just do 1 more? It's a little bit selfish. It's a freshman mistake. I get it. He's got time to grow here. Coach Boeheim is a Hall of Fame coach, but where he's at right now, needs to stop shooting the rock from deep. I'm swiping left.
If you're going to swipe left on Chris Bell, then who are you going to swipe right with at the 3?
Anybody besides him and maybe Judah Mintz. I'd swipe right on Jesse Edwards from deep after today.
I mean, hey, we're going to talk about Jesse Edwards right now. It's a good transition into it because this was someone that has popped off recently all season. Tonight as well against the Wolfpack. 18 points, 16 rebounds, Orange Press Pass player of the game. And Philip, you're someone that's definitely swiping right on Jesse. I think we can all agree on this one.
Absolutely. I mean, he is the star player for this team in my eyes. I already said he's the best big man in the ACC. And look, when he's not playing well on offense, the team doesn't do well. They're taking bad threes from people like Judah Mintz and from Chris Bell. When he's taking the contact in the inside, today he did a great job of penetrating the NC State defense. You don't need any other protection under the glass when Jesse Edwards is playing. Did so well putting the team on his back multiple times, and great job finishing at the rim. Jesse Edwards has got to be a right swipe. If not, you're crazy.
Yeah, well, you might be thinking, surely Sam can't go a third swipe right in a row, but I'm doing it. I'm swiping right again. Well, we'll talk about that later.
You're going to run out of lives. You are out of life. You cannot swipe right on anyone anymore.
Well, hear me out.
You got to wait for 12 hours.
Hear him out.
Fair enough. But hear me out. I think the key for Edwards has been staying out of foul trouble, actually. That's kind of an underrated thing because there was that stretch a few weeks ago where he was consistently getting into foul trouble relatively early on in the second half, and that caused him to sort of shy away, not be as aggressive. I like when we see a confident Jesse Edwards, which is what we saw today, dominating down low on the boards and also scoring a humble 18 points.
Someone that is confident, someone that is gritty, someone that can get it done, and someone that showed the 3-ball tonight. This is why I'm getting into it, and I'm swiping up on Jesse Edwards. I'm going with the super like. Do not ask me how I got it or where I got it from, but this was Jesse Edwards' world, and NC State was living in it tonight. You could have put anyone down low, even a 6'9", 275-pound big man in DJ Burns, who fouled out before the final buzzer. He couldn't even handle Jesse Edwards tonight. That just tells you what Jesse has done throughout his college career, dating back to his freshman year, adding some size to the table, and now in his senior year, averaging a double-double. He shows it tonight in a 3-point win for the Orange over 23rd ranked NC State. You guys may be crazy with swiping right a lot, but I'm swiping up on Jesse. When we come back on Orange Press Pass, we're going to take a look around the nation and even a little bit of a dive into the ACC too. That's next on OPP.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family.
Yeah!
Oh, I thought you were on my team.
Closing up shop here on Orange Press Pass with Philip Galati and Sam Reis. I'm Trey Redfield. Syracuse taking down 23rd ranked NC State 75-72. We were going to look around the nation. I mean, hey, there were a couple of big games in there, including Providence taking down Creighton in double overtime, also Notre Dame and Duke going at it. But why not dive right into our next Orange Press Pass? That's coming up on Saturday when Syracuse takes on Duke, the rivalry that everyone in Central New York is looking for. And this one is a matchup that really wasn't as popular, knowing that the Blue Devils aren't as good this year.
Well, you say that. I mean, they got rooked against UVA. They should have won that game. The refs made them lose it right at the end, so they're going to be angry. They're going to be hungry.
I say this is going to be a competitive game Saturday, Trey.
All right, so Syracuse and Duke coming up at 6. Leo Silverman, follow him on Twitter at Leo Silverman for live updates. But real quick, final thoughts, go.
Dance tonight because we're not dancing in March. You got to celebrate this win. It was a good win. It's a top 25 win, but it's still not going to be enough to go to the NCAA tournament.
For me, you can't take for granted a slow start from the opponent. Got to come out of the gates more efficiently.
But hey, you can harp on that now, but got to give Syracuse credit tonight because they take down 23rd ranked NC State 75-72. That wraps up Orange Press Pass with Phil Galati and Sam Reis. I'm Trey Redfield. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great night.